made his preseason debut in last night's loss to the Panthers. Watson entered the game in the second quarter and was 15 for 25 for 179 yards. He also ran for a touchdown. Let's take a listen to Watson after the game.
It was good just to get my feet wet, not just me, but all the rookies, and just get out there and just, experience my first NFL game. So it was fun. This is professional football. This is the highest level of the sport. So, of course, it's going to be faster, a lot, bigger guys, smarter guys. But at the same time, I'm doing the same thing they're doing, watching film and trying to play fast also. So at the end of the day, it's still football. And you just got to go out there and operate and do your job.
Skip, how impressed were you by Deshaun?
I saw the first flashes of a young man who soon will turn into the best quarterback the Houston Texans have ever had in their franchise history. I saw a Deshaun Watson who should have started last night and played at least a little while with the ones versus the ones, and who should start the next two preseason games so he can play starters versus starters, because he deserves to be doing that already. Clearly, his ceiling is going to be much higher than Tom Savage's. No disrespect to Tom Savage, but he's what Bill Parcells called a jag, J-A-G, just another guy. He not bad, not great, just like all those other quarterbacks who came before him. I saw the first flashes last night of Deshaun's leadership, his electric body language, his playmaking style. He will bring things that Tom Savage just can't. And I saw a Deshaun Watson who I think pretty soon will make the Cleveland Browns regret they didn't take him with the first overall pick, and who will definitely make the Bears regret that they took Mitchell Trubisky with the second overall pick, and who will make the 49ers regret, and the Jaguars regret, and God knows the New York Jets regret that they didn't take this kid, because he's going to change life in Houston. We saw him escape. We saw him run with the ball. We saw him get down and slide, which I loved, stay a little bit out of harm's way. And we saw him wing it and zing it, because he can. It's not the most conventional looking throwing motion, but it works. He's not quite as consistently accurate as Dak Prescott, but it still will work, because he's higher risk but higher reward. He can make more splash plays than Dak can make. I'm not saying he's better than Dak, but if they will start him now and let him play some ones against ones, he will eventually and fairly quickly do what Dak did for the Dallas Cowboys as a rookie last year. Born leader, born winner. Congratulations, Texans, but don't stunt his growth. Don't try to overprotect him. Don't try to keep him out of harm's way. Throw him into the fire, because this kid will thrive in the fire. I was impressed.
Skip, I'm not going to get ahead of myself, because a lot of these guys that he were playing against, they're not going to be on the final 53-man roster. So I'm not going to heap all this praise that you're heaping. I thought he was poised. I thought he showed great composure. I thought he made some good throws. But Skip, you can always, for me, if I'm Coach O'Brien, I start Tom Savage game 2. I start Deshaun in game 3. Preseason game. When everything's going to be scripted, you're going to try to attack what they do. They're trying to attack what you do. Last night, they just went in there with basic plays. They're just running plays. They didn't care what the defense was, what the defense was going to run. The defense didn't care what the offense was going to run. So they're just playing their base defense, their base offense. Week 3 of the preseason, everybody's going to play their starters. At bare minimum, to the half, some will play well into the third quarter. Some might play 3 quarters, because more times than not, the starters do not play the final preseason game. So with that being said, I would start him then. But Skip, you can always go back to Deshaun Watson if Tom Savage struggles early in the season. But I wouldn't put him in and then have to go to Savage and then try to come back to.
But why are you predicting failure? Why would you anticipate that he would not be able to stand up and live up?
I'm just going to base it because more times than not you see it. Skip, it's okay that if he doesn't start. That doesn't mean he's not going to be a great player. Guys have struggled as rookies, especially with the expectations. Dak did, but you have to understand, Dak was in a very unique perspective. He got drafted to a team that had the best offensive line. They selected the best running back in the draft, who turned out to be an all-pro and in the final running for Rookie of the Year. So that's a very unique situation. But Dak was a 4th-round pick. He didn't have the expectations of this young man because the team that selected him moved up 13 spots to get him. The Cowboys stayed exactly where they were, and Dak fell into their lap. Skip, they had no idea that Dak was going to be like this because if they had, they'd have took him instead of Zeke with the 4th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you.
Jerry wouldn't have publicly regretted not trading up for Paxton Lynch.
And he made it known.
Or not taking Connor Cook.
Right. And so with that being said, Skip, I always believe that if you start a veteran, you can go to the rookie. But if you start the rookie and he doesn't, and it goes sideways early, because this team have not only playoff, but deep playoff aspirations.
Yeah.
Skip. You look at their defense, they have weapons around. So if it's close, and I'm gonna stick to this, Skip. If it's close, Coach O'Brien probably should go with Deshaun Watson. Not probably, he should. But right now, I don't see any reason why they should. Well, Tom, you didn't play. He played well enough last night to get another start in the preseason, and then start Watson in the 3rd preseason game.
Okay, I just don't get the rationale of, okay, let's start Tom in preseason game number 2,
yes,
which will force Deshaun into what we saw last night, which was helter-skelter. He's playing with a lot of kids who won't even be on the roster.
Right.
Kids blocking for him might not be on the roster.
Right.
And it got to be a little backyard. You know, it's got to be a little grab bag.
Right.
You know, you just got to break out and roll and look and throw it away if you don't have anything.
Right.
And he hit one kid on the sideline for a first down, but he had stepped out of bounds first, so it's a penalty. He lost it down. Hit another kid over the middle, fumble, caught it and fumbled. I don't know. It's hard to evaluate what you're seeing because it's not fair to Deshaun because he's better than that. So why wouldn't you just, if you think he's going to start the dress rehearsal preseason game, well, let him have some snaps with the ones next week.
I'm going to let him start the 3rd preseason game because I know with Tom Savage, I've seen Tom Savage in meaningful gameplay situation. I've seen him in an actual live NFL game. So now I'm going to put Deshaun in because, like you said, I want to see him with our starters against their defensive starters. And so with that being said, Skip, why not? You know what Tom Savage is. He doesn't really need to be with the starters in Game 3 because you've already seen him in actual game competition. You want to see Deshaun Watson when they're scripting plays, when the defense is trying to attack you and you're trying to attack it.
What did your eye test tell you last night after you watched Tom Savage and then you watched Deshaun Watson?
Skip, he felt real. You can tell he was comfortable, but he kind of went home. Charlotte, North Carolina, and Clemson in South Carolina. Charlotte, North Carolina, and Clemson, South Carolina. So the stadium was real friendly.
It was very friendly.
So
I agree. That's okay.
He did look good. He looked smooth. He'll have to do a better job of carrying that ball like a loaf of bread because they're going to chop it from behind. It's going to be on the ground a bunch. So he has to do a better job of protecting. But I like that once he saw danger coming, he slid, got down. He looked smooth throwing the ball. He rolled. We know he has legs, Skip. We know he can throw the ball in the run. Hence that last second touchdown over Alabama in the national championship game. But Skip, there's no rush. I wouldn't rush this young man because I expect him to be great for us for an extended period of time. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. Just like
the rush is this team is really good if J.J. Watt can get back to being J.J. Watt. We don't know that yet.
Right.
But if he does, and they are what I think they are, with Deshaun Watson, they can go places. I think they can go to Foxborough for the AFC Championship game with Deshaun, but not with Tom Savage. And if you start playing musical quarterback and go back and forth between them, it's going to be a disaster. And I don't trust Bill O'Brien with the quarterbacks because he's got such a big ego. He's going to want to show you that conventional wisdom says, I want to go with the guy who's been here for 3 years who really gets my system. That's Tom Savage. And he's spoken out about how much he loves the kid. It was kind of a pet project of his. So his pride is on the line. And if he's not careful, his job is going to be on the line.
And I want you to stop every time we talk about a quarterback bringing up Dak Prescott.
You mean the guy who
I don't care what
had
you
the
mean.
best QBR in football all the way to the last game of the year when they mailed it in Philly because they didn't need it? That guy?
Deshaun Watson called me last night and told me to tell you, stop bringing him up.
He did not. If he called you, he'd said, tell Skip thank you for all the
support. He didn't call me, but I'm saying it.
I only said that he was the best player in the draft before the draft.
That's my
and I think we're seeing it. And I'm going to say it again. Would you like to be in the Cleveland Browns spot right now that you didn't take him?
No.
Thank you.
No.
How about Mitchell Trubisky? Would you like to be Mitchell right now after that game last night? How much pressure is on Mitch Trubisky who probably won't see the field this year.
Skip, that's not Mitchell Trubisky's fault that Chicago traded up to get him.
You're right, but I do feel sorry for him because I feel even sorrier for the people who picked him.
Oh, Skip. I mean, somebody you're going to look down the line and you're going to say, well, it's just like when Steph Curry. You look at all the teams that passed him, what did he go, 8? You're like, don't you think they wish they'd had that pick back? But you do your value.
By the way, I said I'd take him #1. That's just me.
Skip, but at the end of the day, you watch the tape, you look at your evaluation, you let everybody come together. Okay, what do you think? What do you think? And you make the best decision. You're not going to always be right. Even as great as Coach Belichick is, he's had some flops.
Jimmy Johnson had flops in Dallas with all those draft choices.
Happens.
It happens. But the shock to me is that year after year after year, the swings and misses on quarterbacks in the first round. It's just staggering.
Skip, you never know until you get that guy in your building, in your uniform, and sees what happened when live bullets, pardon the metaphor, are flying around him.
You're right.
Because you never know. I mean, he got a big heart. He was in the big stage, and then fold like a party chair at the end of the night.
We just had the classic example on our show right here yesterday, Ryan Leaf.
Yep.
Are you trying to lay claim to Deshaun Watson now?
That's my homeboy. He from Gainesville, Georgia.
Skip's the one that came out and said he was going to be
Hold
great,
on.
and you're being all hesitant.
Hold up, you from Enid, Oklahoma.
Enid?
Okay,
Where
Idabel.
did Enid come from?
You from Idabel, Oklahoma.
I'm from Idabel.
Tulsa?
I know a couple of people. No, close. You're getting warmer.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's from Gainesville,
Yeah.
Georgia. The Georgia boys, you know, them Georgia boys drop. You better hit the floor.
We'll see more from Deshaun.